What is up, family? It's your man Memphian Plays, and welcome back to the Tweener podcast. Now, this episode, I think it's the one that's gonna piss a whole lot of people off. This episode is gonna get the blood flowing and the chatter going. This episode, we are talking about the Mount Rushmore of wrestling. And now, Mount Rushmore has 4 heads, so to be fair, I broke it down into 3 categories: single male, single female, tag team division. Each one is going to get their own Mount Rushmore. But before we get started, if you're on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, go ahead, give me a rating. Let me know what you think of the podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead, slide to the comments and let me know who's in your Mount Rushmore, and let's get it started. Alright, so before I kick things off, I just want to let you guys know how I went about doing this ranking. Now, 3 things. Number 1, they have to be iconic, of course. Number 2, their accomplishments. Number 3, their legacy. Those are the most important things that I believe that'll get you on this Mount Rushmore. So let's get it started with someone who meets all those criterias and someone who I feel like that'll be on every single person's Mount Rushmore, even if you hate them like I do. And that's John Cena.
No! God, please, no! No! No!
Now, I'm not really going to be going like off naming all these accomplishments and accolades. Like, nah, it'll be forever. Nah, we ain't doing that. All we know is, I wrote some of it down: 16-time world champion, 5-time US champ, 4-time tag team champion, couple of Royal Rumble wins, but mainly it's just because how iconic John Cena is and how he carried damn near 2 generations. Now, I think generation is like every 10 years. John Cena was active damn near 20 years and he carried 2 generations, in my opinion. I absolutely despise John Cena, but I have to give credit where credit is due. Number 2 is Ric Flair. 17-time world champion Ric Flair. Once again, a cultural icon, legacy impeccable. Like, to this day, at least in my culture, a lot of his promos are used in the hip hop culture. He's been in videos with the Migos. People name albums after this guy. People dress like this guy doing like Ric Flair is such a pop culture icon, and his legacy is just untouchable. Nobody to this day has still won more than 17 titles, even though I believe John Cena is eventually going to tie him. Nobody else has won as many times as he has. Number 3. Now, number 2 and 3, the last 2 people for the men's Mount Rushmore, it gets dicey. Like, I took people in, I took people out. Like, this gets dicey, but I'm going to go with The Undertaker. And I wish I could say it like Teddy Long. The Undertaker. But with The Undertaker, he doesn't have all the gold like the rest of them. I think he's a 7-time world champ. Won the tag team champion a couple of times with multiple people. But I put The Undertaker on there just because of how impactful he was to the generation he was in and beyond. Like, he wrestled multiple generations. He was able to reinvent himself, and it actually fucking worked. Most wrestlers always try to reinvent themselves at some point, but then this shit flop. Like Undertaker, the American Badass, the corporate ministry. Did I say that right? The American Badass? Yeah. The corporate Undertaker, they was with the corporate ministry, which was like my favorite version of the Undertaker. Just his undefeated WrestleMania streak until Brock Lesnar took it away. Like, how can it not be the Undertaker? Now, I listened to a lot of other people's Mount Rushmore, and none of them had Undertaker on it. I don't personally know why, but because they didn't really say why. Didn't even give the man an honorable mention or nothing, but I'm going to go with The Undertaker. Now, the last spot is what I think is going to piss people off the most, because I'm going to tell y'all who is not in the last spot. Hulk Hogan.
What?
A lot of people probably like, oh, he gonna go with Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan is not in my last spot. Yes, Hulk Hogan is iconic. Yes, Hulk Hogan is a pop phenomenon. But to me, the guys that I got above him just had a little bit more to outdo him just a little bit. Now, some people might take Undertaker out, put Hulk Hogan in, but my last and final spot is going to Stone Cold Steve Austin, and it hurt me to the core not to put The Rock in that last spot on the Mount Rushmore. I wanted to do it for my brother. I really, really wanted to, but I have to go with Stone Cold Steve Austin. If The Rock never left and went to Hollywood so soon, The Rock most likely would have been ahead of Stone Cold, but Stone Cold, out of fucking nowhere, just caught fire and took over the industry, and everyone wanted to talk like him. Everybody wanted to catch a beer like him. Everybody wanted people who don't even know wrestling. See, this is the thing when it comes to cultural icons. They transcend the business. People who don't even fucking know wrestling know, and that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so. Mothers used to beat their children and say, and that's the bottom line type shit. Like, Stone Cold was so iconic. Outside of John Cena, he's probably the second most like iconic wrestler, like, cause this is in no particular order, but like Stone Cold, like, well, he's only a 6-time world champ, King of the Ring winner, like, but it's Stone fucking Cold. Like, you would drop a glass in the kitchen on accident, but when you hear that break, you think about Stone Cold. The music is iconic. The glass break is iconic. The vest is iconic. Austin 3:16, in my opinion, is more famous than John 3:16 from the freaking Bible. Like, it's fucking Stone Cold Steve Austin. Now, of course, honorable mentions to people like Hulk Hogan and The Rock. And people that are older than me are probably going to go with like Bruno Sammartini's and Ricky Steamboat. But you guys got to understand, the era I grew up in was like pre-Attitude Era, like right when the Attitude Era was about to begin. So I didn't get a chance to see a lot of those like Ted DiBiase type guys. Like, but my first ever wrestling event I went to, I saw Ric Flair wrestle against Jerry Lawler. That was my first ever wrestling match I ever seen in my life. So that's why Ric Flair made the list. John Cena, Ric Flair, Undertaker, Stone Cold Steve Austin, men's Mount Rushmore. Let me know who's on your men's Mount Rushmore, and let's go to the women's. Alright, moving on to the women's Mount Rushmore. And now, if the men's list did not piss you off, I guarantee you the last person on my women's Mount Rushmore will piss you off. So I'm going to start off light, and I'm going to go with Trish Stratus, a pick that everybody will pick also, a 7-time women's champion, but more importantly, like, she is one of those iconic figures as well, a pop culture phenomenon. She is like the definition of the diva during the Divas era. So we have to make number 2 her opposite, which was Lita, who is a 4-time women's champ. Now, I thought Lita actually probably would have won it more times than that. I would have put her up there with Trish, like between 7 to 10-ish. That's what I thought. But I've noticed one thing, though. They're both iconic. They both have great legacies. They're both in the Hall of Fame. But when I hear women talk about who influenced them to become a wrestler, typically it's always Lita. Like, Trish is the more popular star, ironically, but every time I hear women talk, the wrestlers, they always say how Lita was so influential just because she didn't look like Trish or the rest of them, the Tori Wilsons, the Stacy Keeblers. She didn't have the blonde hair and the big boobs and the pretty eyes. And Lita was attractive, but she just was rocking the tomboy look. She was cutting moonsaults. Her theme song to me is a banger. It can go head to head with a lot of a lot of the men's music, a lot of them, like her music was a banger. Like I put it in my top 10 favorite WWE theme songs of all time. But Lita is definitely cool and deserves a spot on the women's Mount Rushmore. Number 3, the ninth wonder of the world, Chyna. Now, something I did not know about Chyna was that she is a 2-time Intercontinental Champion. I knew about the one. I didn't know she was a 2-time Intercontinental Champion, and I did not know she only won the Women's Championship 1 time. Like, I really gotta go and dig into Chyna's history, because I'm like, did she not wrestle along? I know she, for the most part, she kind of always was a gimmick character. Like, she always just was like the enforcer for DX, so she never really was like heavy in the women's division like that. But Chyna definitely deserves a spot just because of the doors that she opened. That's what I wanted to say. The doors that she opened that might actually have influence on what's going on today, because a lot of people are saying Rhea Ripley could possibly be the next woman to win a men's major title. Not that 24/7 championship shit, but a major title. Also, going back to Trish Stratus, did not know Trish Stratus was a 1-time hardcore champion. Found that out while making this podcast. So, Trish Stratus. Now, I actually got to go find that footage, because I definitely don't remember seeing her with that belt. So, I got to get on YouTube and do some investigation on her being a 1-time hardcore champion. But number 4, the 4th and final spot for the women's Mount Rushmore. Y'all ready to chew me out? Pause. That ain't sound right. Y'all ready to get on my ass? Wait. Damn, that ain't sound right. What? Y'all ready to slap me silly?
Stop it. Get some help.
Okay, that's better. Y'all ready to slap me silly? Charlotte Flair, and it hurts me. I know. Charlotte Flair, this, that, nephewtism. I freaking know. But 14-time women's champ. If you add her NXT reigns, she's a 16-time world women's champ. But I guess they don't add the 2 NXT titles. Whatever. 14-time women's champ. Yes, it's nephewtism screaming all day, every day. Here's my point. It's not like Charlotte Flair sucks. She does not suck. Charlotte Flair will probably go down as the most accomplished woman in WWE history, and her legacy will be the shit. Now, her being iconic and all that bullshit, like, probably not, but her legacy unmatched, and she's gonna probably go down as the most accomplished female in WWE history. I know for a fact they're gonna make her pass her dad sooner or later. She's gonna be an 18-time women's champ. Don't know how soon, but I know. And I'll say this one more last thing. In my defense of Charlotte Flair, it's not like she's Eva Marie. Like, if she sucked in the ring, or she was like mediocre like a Emma or something, and I love Emma, but mediocre like a Emma, then I would be like, yeah, she don't deserve it. But Charlotte cuts fire promos. She is a great in-ring talent. The only thing I see negative about her sometimes is sometimes she can be a brat, and she'll do a no-sell, and it makes it look like a botch, or it makes the other person look crappy, like they fucked it up. But outside of her no-selling sometimes, Charlotte really does back up her talk. And that's really it. I mean, I know y'all gonna feel some type of way, but that's why we got the comments. Let me know who your top females are for Mount Rushmore in the comments, all right? Also, honorable mention, the Bella Twins. Just a quick honorable mention. That's it. Let's go to the tag team division. Alright guys, let's get into the tag team division. The hardest Mount Rushmore for me to put together was this one. It took me hours rotating teams in and out. I could not settle on the last 2. I could not settle. Now, just like we started off easy with John Cena, that was an obvious choice. We started off easy with Trish Stratus. That was an obvious choice. We're going to start off easy with the Hardy Boys. That's an obvious choice. The Hardy Boys, once again, cultural phenomenon, iconic, the music, the attire, who didn't Like who didn't do any of that as a wrestling fan, male or females? The Hardy Boys combined with Lita, like that was awesome. Like everything about the Hardy Boys was cool. I'm not even a Hardy Boys fan. My brother was, but I recognized the greatness, and I knew then they were going to be great. They are an 8-time tag champion, and they have a lot of individual accolades and accomplishments as well. They went to TNA, they went to AEW. They didn't get a chance to flourish in AEW, but I still feel like they're gonna come back and they're gonna do something again in AEW. I don't know. I know we got the Jeff Hardy situation, but we ain't talking about that. All right, let's go on to the next. The next is another obvious choice, the Dudley Boys. Why? If you know the Dudley Boys, you know why. Do I even have to explain? I wrote it down because it's a lot. 9-time WWE Tag Champs, 2-time TNA Tag Champs, 1-time WCW Tag Champ. Didn't even know that. IWGP Tag Team Champs, ECW Tag Team Champs, NWA Tag Team Champs. I guarantee you they're going to be AEW Tag Team Champs one day. They're going to do that. They're going to do that just to get it off the list. Just to check it off. They're going to do it. The Dudley Boys, outside of those accomplishments, the legacy they left behind, them once again being iconic, get the tables, them, the Hardys, Edge and Christian, the TLC matches being the creators of that. Basically, I mean, like, the phrase get the tables or we want tables, like, that's iconic. They created that. I just thinking about Devon Dudley, like, all they have, like, so many moves that are iconic as tag teams. The 3D, one of the most iconic tag team finishers, that when you had a wrestling game, like every tag team had to have the 3D. And the Usos today even doing the day one, whatever. I don't like that name, but whatever. Like, the Dudley Boys are just forever iconic. Now this is where it get dicey, because one of these tag teams I didn't even grow up watching, but I just recognized greatness and how influential they was. And that is this is dicey. The last two is dicey. The Legion of Doom, aka the Road Warriors, Hawk and Animal. And the reason why I selected them, like I said, I cannot say that word. I can't even spell it. Influential they were. And I see what they did bleed into today's tag teams. Like, I see a lot of that, and I see it in every generation since them. And ooh, what a rush. Like, when that hits, and just everything about them, the spiked shoulder pads, fucking iconic, the face paint, iconic. Like, they were just a cool tag team. And I didn't really write any of their accomplishments down, because I feel like people respect the Legion of Doom, aka the Road Warriors, so much that really just based on how influential they was and how much of a cultural how much of a cultural icons they are, I just feel like that's enough to put them on the Mount Rushmore as tag teams. Now I'm gonna do two things. I'm gonna say my last one, and then I'm gonna give an honorable mention to who I wanted to put in this before I put the Legion of Doom. This might be controversial, I'm not sure, but I'm gonna go with the New Day. I am going to go with the 11-time tag team champions, the New Day. If you want to count their NXT titles, it's a 12-time tag team champions, but they didn't count Charlotte's NXT women's championship runs, so I'm not going to count the New Day NXT tag team title run. So 11-time tag champs. They had the second longest reigning tag team run. I want to say, I think the Usos have eclipsed it. I think, I'm not 100% sure, but they had a long ass fucking tag team run. The main reason I put the New Day in it, once again, the legacy they're going to leave behind, and how, unlike how I said the Undertaker in the beginning, reinvented himself over and over and over, and it never flopped. The New Day started off as a heel, but it quickly changed to baby faces, and they never had to reinvent the wheel. They have been the same power of positivity for years, and they still have a large following behind them to this day. And now they have moved into the role of kind of putting other wrestlers over, other tag teams over, but they still have a huge following. They move in merchandise. I even got a freaking, and I got to get this sealed. I don't even like the New Day like this, but of course I have a box of Booty-O's, and this was purchased in 2017, and I'm surprised the tag ain't even faded. But yes, had to do that for the thumbnail. But yeah, the New Day, definitely power of positivity. Now that is my Mount Rushmore. Now honorable mention, Edge and Christian. Y'all don't even know how bad I wanted to put Edge and Christian instead of the Legion of Doom. But I feel like Edge and Christian didn't last long enough. I don't know why I didn't put Edge and Christian. That's what I'm saying. The tag team division was extremely hard. Like Edge and Christian, part of the reason we have TLC matches. Like, how can I not put Edge and Christian in there? The iconic spear, Edge, Jeff Hardy off the ladder. Like, how did I not put Edge and Christian in there? But I just feel like when people talk about who influenced them and the tag teams that they like and I just feel like they would say Legion of Doom influenced more wrestlers and people than Edge and Christian. I've never heard anybody say Edge and Christian are my favorite tag team. I've heard people say the Road Warriors, heard people say the Hardy Boys, heard people say the Dudley Boys, heard people say the New Day. Never heard nobody say Edge and Christian. Edge and Christian is my favorite tag team of all time, but I've never heard nobody else say that. But if you guys agree or disagree, go to the comments. All right. And with that, we have made it to the end of today's episode, my Mount Rushmore. Now, if this episode pissed you off like I assumed it did, go ahead, slide to the comments. Let me know who is on your Mount Rushmore. Let me know why my list was wrong. Let me know why Charlotte Flair is not on the Mount Rushmore, because I know this is what everybody gonna say. Also, if you are on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, be sure to give me a rating. I really, really would appreciate that. If you're on YouTube, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you want to be on the Tweener podcast, the email is podcasttweener@gmail.com. Shoot me your information. You are guaranteed to be on the episode of my podcast. This is for us, by us. And until episode 4, who I am bringing along a special guest, so stay tuned. Until episode 4, I will see you guys next time. All right, I'm out.